Hi guys, this is Creatures of the Night podcast, and I am Wendy.
And I'm Chris.
So Chris, when I was writing up my story this week, I noticed that this podcast comes out the Monday before Thanksgiving. It was kind of funny because I didn't know that before I settled on what I want my story to be on. But I guess my psychic abilities were somewhat working because my story kind of does fit with the holiday. But before I get into that, I wanted to put you on the spot and ask you, what is your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
Turkey. Easy.
That's it? Yeah, the turkey is the best part?
It is for me. I mean, the thing is, I'm limited to what I can have for Thanksgiving. I used to do like a whole spread. I mean, I still do. We have fixins. You know, I'll do stuffing and I'll do I might not do it this year, but a green bean casserole. I also like to do, instead of the green bean casserole, because my husband's not a huge fan, but they do this, I think it's called Arkansas green beans, where you cut up pieces of bacon and you roast it over green beans with some like brown sugar and stuff. So I'll have to find the recipe because Thanksgiving's right around the corner, but it's so fucking good. I mean, I can just sit and eat that like all day. Like, I mean, it's meat and green beans.
Right.
What else do I need? But yeah, the turkey, we do an injector and we roast it in the oven, old school. I have a fryer, but I'm so terrified to use, especially here in the apartment, that I have not used it since we've moved in. So it's been 8 years sitting and waiting for someone to use that fryer.
Some of those things are always so scary. You're like, everybody's using it and they're surviving, but I don't want to do it. People like fry things just in big pots on the stove. But the first time that we ever did it, I was like, we're going to set the house on fire.
That grease just spitting out at you. It's just like, no, I just want to make a nice family dinner. Why does it have to be so painful?
I've seen some TikTok videos of stuff like that. You know, it's saying like, this is me frying something on the stove. And it's just like how I would be when you've got the pot lid as your shield and you're going up there and you're just slinging it in the stove. And then it'll show like how your grandma does it or something. And she's got her fucking hands in the pan, basically. None of that stuff bothers her.
Not affected whatsoever. Yeah. My mom even got me like a grease screen. Have you seen one of those? You like pop it right on top. But that bitch is such a pain in the ass to wash. I don't want to have to deal with that now too.
Yeah. Like all that stuff gets caught in the little things. So it's like, well, that's a waste.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just throw it away.
Yeah. If they were disposable.
One-time use. That's all I got.
Kind of like when you burn something in the pan, you're like, I'm not cleaning that shit. New pans.
New pan. Yeah. That's not a bad idea, though. Then you get new pans,
So I think mine is gravy, if that counts as a dish.
Because, I love gravy.
Like, we may make mashed potatoes with an everyday, like, dinner, but we don't always make gravy with it. But on Thanksgiving, it's like a given. There will be gravy. And nobody looks at you crazy when you put that shit on everything as I do. I love sauces. So, like, turkey, any vegetables, all of it. Everything but the salad gets gravy.
Do you have multiple like gravy boats so that you can, let's bring out the other gravy boat with the backup gravy because Wendy's already gone through one gravy?
People should. I should warn everybody that you're going to need some extra gravy if I'm coming to your dinner.
When you came over for Thanksgiving, we don't do gravy. So I knew that you had to have it. So I had gravy for you.
That's pretty shameful, but I appreciate it. Know the business. My niece is obsessed with Starbucks. She doesn't really necessarily want to make coffee in the morning, but she likes Starbucks. And she's been here with us. And I just realized she's been here for like a week. And it took me until Friday to be like, oh my God, no one's brought this girl Starbucks or taken her to a Starbucks or anything. She's going to die. And I thought, if it was me and somebody didn't know that I fucking needed coffee in the morning, we wouldn't be friends anymore. So as soon as I realized, I was like, oh my God, I will take you to a Starbucks now. She's like, yeah, I had been thinking. I texted my mom about it. You told on me to your mom?
But she didn't even ask you.
Well, she tries to be really polite, you know, so she doesn't want to ask for extra stuff. Aww. So that was sweet. But I was like, no, we will get you Starbucks every day this weekend.
Well, and I know this isn't Starbucks level, but I did find out that apparently the hospitals in Memphis no longer serve you coffee. So yeah, that's a real bummer when your life depends on coffee to, you know, do things.
To function. It's like, okay, so instead of coffee, you're going to pump some morphine in this thing so I can go back to sleep, right?
Right.
Because I cannot operate.
Nope, they want you to operate without it. I'm like, if I get stuck there, they might as well just cart me on out to the street because I'm not.
You're going to be the patient breaking out with your gown half open in the back and stuff and be like, middle fingers up. Fuck you guys. I'm getting out of here. So anyways, my story idea for this week came to mind after we finished our road trip through Nevada. I just learned from a TikTok video that it's not Nevada, it's Nevada. And I was like, I have been saying it wrong my entire life, which I'm not surprised. I'm from the South. We say a lot of things wrong.
That is so weird. I work with a guy who was raised in Vegas, so I'll have to hear how he says it.
I know. Now I'm obsessed with asking everybody, wait, how do you say it?
Yeah, right. I'm totally going to ask him.
Yeah.
Where is it that you're from? Not Vegas, the other part.
Yeah. But so our road trip through Nevada, which for new listeners, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go back and listen to all the episodes pretty much in September and October, and you'll almost get a complete play-by-play of the events. Yeah. It was hella fun, and we got to see and explore many notorious haunted locations throughout Arizona, Nevada, and California.
Yes, it was great. It was so great.
It was epic. It was such a good time. It was a lot, though, and we covered somewhere around 1,500 miles on the road between those 3 states.
Man. Yeah, we set our sights a little too large sometimes. We're just
Always.
like, we're going to do it all the time.
But, I mean, I love road trips. Always have. It's something I think I get from my parents. They love to travel. And when I was little, we couldn't afford to take a plane trip anywhere.
Yeah, same here.
So almost every weekend, and of course on holidays, they would be carrying us off to my grandparents' houses or taking a road trip just to have a little quick adventure.
Yeah.
I guess that's where I got so comfortable driving and being on the road. Like last Thanksgiving, since I don't live in Tennessee anymore, we decided, like me and my family, that we would each drive halfway, which was 12 hours. And that we just had Thanksgiving like in a hotel.
Yeah. I mean, it seemed like it worked because you were all there together.
Yeah. I feel like for me, if it's something I really want to do and a place I really want to be, there's just no road that's too long. It's like 12 hours. Pfft, I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. I'm already halfway there.
But all these road trips with my family and with you, Chris, we've yet to run into any ghostly hitchhiker or cryptic creature crossing the dark, lonely street. So it got me thinking, where are these haunted highways that have made ghosts like these legendary?
Oh, yeah. Okay. But we don't usually travel at night.
Yes, old lady eyes here. I have tried to avoid it as much as possible. So that might be where we're failing at this.
Well, but a lot of times, too, we're heading to a destination that we're going to be investigating at night.
Yeah, so we're trying to get there for that ghostly hour instead of being on the road. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But I found a list of the 10 creepiest roads in America. So for those of you planning to hit the road off to Grandma's house for the holidays, listen up and check your maps so that you know what you're in for.
Yeah, and leave late so that you might run into something like this.
Be like my sister. She loves driving at night, which is so crazy. How are we? I'm sure we're related because we somewhat look alike. But she will plan to leave her house at like midnight to start a road trip where I'm like, I need a few hours of sleep if you're going to put me on a road. So she drives at night all the time, but she's never told me that she's seen anything. I'll have to check up with her. She doesn't like to admit it.
That's why you don't know, because she's keeping it on the DL. Yeah.
She's like, I didn't see that. Yeah. Nope. She's very much in denial on those things. Like the time we saw a ghost in my house that I grew up in, she and I were both in the same bed. And I thought I heard something. I look around the corner and into this other room, and I saw like something sitting in a chair. And you could see like, it looked like it had like a bald head. And I tell my sister, oh my God, there's a ghost. There's something in there. Take a look and see what you can see. It's not mom or dad, is it? Both my parents at that point, they had long, wavy hair. And I convinced her to switch spots with me and look around the corner. And she just glances for 2 seconds, come back. And I was like, did you see it? She goes, yeah, I don't want to talk about it. And then she switched sides again.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'd like to know more about what she saw. Like, why is she so like, nope.
I think she just, you saw her. We took her to Moundsville. She's like, okay, maybe a little. Nope, that's too much. Never mind. Not interested. Yeah. And this was the night after, or maybe it was the night of the funeral of our neighbor who died of cancer and had her head shaved.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we've always kind of associated it with that. We never saw her again. So it was just that one like last goodbye, maybe.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Oh.
Though the house was haunted with something else. But anyways, that's a story for another time. Whenever Chris and I do the same story.
Right. Well, that's why you didn't see her after that. She got there. She wanted to say goodbye. She's like, oh, there's something else going on here. I got to go.
She's like, ooh, I don't want to be here. Who's that guy?
Never mind. I was going to hang out here. Nope.
So here we go. 10 creepiest roads in America. First up is Boy Scout Lane, located in Linwood, Wisconsin, near Stevens Point. It's a small, isolated, unpaved, wooded, rural street with a fearsome reputation. Had to get all those adjectives in there.
Yeah, all of it. So unless you're passing through, does that unpaved road actually connect to another road?
I'm pretty certain these days, no, not really. This is not one that's traveled very often. It's actually flanked on either side by residential private properties. So, you really shouldn't be driving down there. And people say the residents don't like it, really.
Yeah.
But before all that was set up, people would go down there or drive through there, and they had ghostly experiences.
There's a place in Maine where you have to drive down a gravel road to get to a haunted graveyard. And it's the same situation where there's residents on either side. And the gravel road sucks butt. And we took my husband's low to the ground car through there too. Ugh. But haunted graveyard. So, I mean, you got to go.
You got a goal, then you can do it. And this Boy Scout Lane is not privately owned, so you can still do it, guys.
Do it.
But I do think you drive down and you have to turn around and come back.
Oh, okay.
So, according to locals, the street gets its name from a tragic incident involving a troop of Boy Scouts that were killed while they were camping there in the 1950s.
Oh.
In some variations of the story, the murderer is the troop's scoutmaster, and in others, it's the bus driver.
Wow. Jerry the bus driver?
How did you know? No, there's no name attached to either of those people. Some even have a more PG version of the story where they just say the deaths were a result of a tragic accident, like bus crash, or the forest catching on fire from one of their lanterns.
Ooh.
I say PG, but that's pretty gruesome.
It's grisly.
But at least there's no murder involved.
Yeah, that's true. It's more of an accident that way.
Either way, the road and the woods around the area are now said to be haunted by the ghosts of those Boy Scouts and possibly even the killer.
Oh.
Witnesses have reported a strong sense of foreboding or being watched. The sounds of footsteps are breaking of branches coming from multiple directions. That's fucking creepy.
Mm-hmm. That's Blair Witch.
People have seen red or white lights, sometimes described as resembling like a swaying lantern or like a flashlight beam.
Oh.
They've seen shadowy figures in the woods and a ghost bus coming down the road. That one's extreme. That would be scary too if you're on the road.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Wasn't that in Ghostbusters when the Titanic just rolls up?
Yeah.
That's like, yes, that's what I want to see, the ghost bus. Yes. And you said this is in Wisconsin?
Wisconsin, yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm down.
People have also seen childlike handprints on their cars if they've stopped on the road or even just driving through there.
Nice. Yeah.
One blogger by the name of Earthbound Angel wrote, and this is kind of lengthy. I'll read it fast. It was a warm July night in 2005. My friend Erin was visiting our mutual friend Michelle and I up in Stevens Point. Michelle and I worked at a Boy Scout camp, and Erin was to bring me back home to Minnesota when the weekend was over. We were bored, so Michelle suggested we go to Boy Scout Lane and do a little investigating. So they loaded up in the car with her in the back seat with a camera in hand. She says, right when we turned onto the road, we felt uneasy. You know, that dreaded feeling of being watched. Being the young adults we are, we made jokes and tried to shake off the feeling. We went down the road and turned around. Nothing special happened. What we saw when we got home is a different story. Michelle hooked up the video camera to the television and played the footage. At first, it looked like nothing interesting until there was a point when I coughed, and right after that, a heavy whispering breath followed. You know how sometimes your body just makes weird noises, though?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
I know. My body makes weird noises, sure. Yeah, sometimes when you're paranormal investigating and you're listening intently to your EVPs and all of a sudden you get like a and it's just something coming out of your throat from your belly.
And I know it more and more with us doing this podcast and editing and having all our gurgle sounds in our ears. So, I don't know about Earthbound Angel and her breathy whisper because she couldn't make out exactly what it was saying.
Okay.
So she goes on to say, Michelle, Erin, and I looked at each other with wide eyes, and we turned back to the television. The other two saw a bright ball of light flash by the screen for a split second, but I did not. She must be like me. And she's like, what? No matter how many times you play it back. Anyways, she says, I recorded us driving back to the main road. I faced the rolled up window towards the field that was supposed to turn into a camp. I had the infrared light on the camera in case something moved in the field. Nothing in the field moved. Instead, we saw a face pressed up against the window. And she says, I know what you're thinking. It was not my face. She claims that the light from the video camera was too small to project light on her face. And then also she didn't have her face pressed up against the window. She said that they all three screamed and Michelle's mother started yelling at them. They ran into the room where Mom was at. She scolds them, yet refused to watch the footage. She's like my sister.
Yeah, that's funny.
She's like, no, that's fine, but keep it fucking down.
Because it's too loud. Go to bed.
Another little tidbit. This is Earthbound Angel talking again. She goes, another little tidbit that we saw in the rear view mirror, there were 2 stationary lights in the upper corner. The area where Boy Scout Lane is away from the city limits and no car was behind us. The lights did not leave us until we got deeper into town. We have not gone out there since, but we have shown the tape to others, though it wasn't on the internet for me to see this.
Oh.
But whoever she shows this to says that they see the same thing. She says she doesn't know if it's haunted by actual Boy Scouts, but there's definitely something out there. She lives in Stevens Point now, and she says there's a lot of history to the town. So that little part in Earthbound Angel's blog about the camp that was never built, well, that's actually how the road got its name. Years and years ago, the Boy Scouts of America bought and owned the land with the intention to build a scout camp there. And although the camp was never constructed, the land remained wooded and the name stayed in use. However, there's no recorded deaths of any Boy Scout in the area or massive fire or group disappearance. But the fact that the whole story is probably a complete lie doesn't stop curious minds from wandering out there to investigate the claims for themselves. So, once you've survived your investigation of Boy Scout Lane, don't forget to also drive by one of Stevens Point's spookiest bridges. So you could just hit this up on the way home.
Oh, okay.
It's called Bloody Bride Bridge on Highway 66 near Jordan Park. It's said to be haunted by a bride that was killed on her wedding night in a car crash. The first account of a ghostly woman was by a police officer who thought he hit a woman in the road. Like, she just appeared, and then he thinks he hits her. So he gets out to investigate, but he found nobody there. So then he re-enters his police vehicle, and he locks eyes with a woman that's sitting in the back seat.
No, this is some horror movie kind of.
Yeah.
So this was a police vehicle that he allegedly... So how did she get in the back seat then?
Well, she's a ghost, so she just poofs there.
She just, popped in for a minute.
I guess if it was a real person, she'd just have to be super sneaky.
Yeah.
In fact.
Yeah, because with the cop cars, I mean, the back doors would be locked and stuff, right?
Oh, yeah. And there's a cage, like, or plexiglass up.
So yeah, she couldn't, like...
She couldn't get in there. So she has to be a ghost.
I mean, unless it's like an old-timey cop car. What year was it?
Oh, they don't give me a year, or I forgot to put it in here.
But they always have like some kind of bars between the seats. Old-timey cop car.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's a small town and it's like the sheriff's car or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And she could have just jumped over the seat. Seems like you would have heard something. So,
yeah,
it's got to be a ghost. Well, and plus, since this all happened, a lot of fishermen have reported running into this ghost bride who are there around the bridge doing some late night fishing.
Yes, I love this.
So tell your husband and keep his eye out and hang around bridges.
But he will not. Yeah, he does. But if he sees something, I won't know for at least 10 more years, just so you know.
I will wait patiently, as I'm sure you will too. Also, many residents have experienced the same apparition just popping up in their back seat while passing over the bridge. They say it typically always happens around midnight. Of course, this is not a constant event, but I'm just saying if you're in the area, keep your eyes out. You never know when she'll be out on the prowl.
Yeah, or popping up in your back seat.
Next up is Route 2A in Arustruk, Maine. Have you ever heard of that? It's a county in Maine.
I know that there's a haunted lane in Maine because I was checking it out. Is this the one about the witch?
No. No.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
So save that. You can tell me later.
Okay.
If it was a story you were working on, I mean, I'm not trying to tell you like, shut up, I'm talking right now.
No.
But no, on this one, it's super famous apparently just because it inspired this song, Tombstone Every Mile. The title is a reference to the many fatal accidents that have occurred on the road and written by a former truck driver who became a country singer and songwriter. His name was Dick Cutlass. In the song, Dick says, it's a stretch of road north in Maine that's never, ever seen a smile. But I guess he sings it or whatever. See, Route 2A is known as a treacherous road for truckers, especially when its sharp turns are covered in ice and snow during the winter. This portion of the road goes through Haynesville Woods, and before I-95 was built, this part of the road was heavily used for truckers bringing Maine's potato harvest out of state. Didn't know they were big for potatoes, but okay.
Yeah, usually it's blueberries that you hear about, not so much the potatoes. Okay.
Apparently it's a thing, or was. One of the most notable stories coming from drivers on the road is that of a young woman in need of help, which they then pull over and offer her a ride. She accepts, but while she's in the car, drivers say they feel a chill in the air around her. As the car nears the end of the road, the woman just disappears completely.
Yeah. She's like, thanks for the ride. I'm out.
Peace. Hope you weren't looking for a tip.
Right.
The story is said to be the ghost of a newlywed bride. There's lots of them throughout these kinds of stories, who was in a car accident with her new husband while traveling out on their honeymoon. The man died immediately, but the woman was able to free herself. Once out of the car, though, she couldn't find help, and she ended up freezing to death on the side of the road.
Oh, that sucks. It's so cold.
What a horrible way to die.
Yeah.
Being cold sucks, period.
Yeah, that does. That sucks so bad. I imagine that she had like a broken something too, right? And so she's just sort of like trying to make her way through Maine.
Yeah.
And God, I'm sure there was snow and ice. And I just imagine it. It's awful.
So some drivers tell the experience a little different. They report that they see the ghost of this woman on the side of the road begging travelers to help her husband, but she disappears when they approach. Then there's another story of a little girl on this same road. The story likely comes from a 1967 crash. Well, not a crash necessarily. A truck hit a little girl on this road.
Ah, man. Yeah, was that in Pet Sematary? That was in Maine, right?
You know he's getting these stories from somewhere.
Yup.
So similar to the bride, when the ghost child is seen, she needs a ride. However, upon reaching the end of the road, she disappears.
Oh.
This rural stretch of road has earned a reputation of the most haunted road in Maine. And I read it's a pretty eerie drive no matter the weather, just thanks to the creepy woods that surround it.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Riverview Drive in Totowa, New Jersey, which is called by many Annie's Road, after the woman who, as legend has it, was hit by a truck and killed on her prom night in the 1960s.
Oh.
The story goes that her date stood her up or that they had a fight, but she starts walking home down this road. It was the shortest and perhaps the easiest route that she could have took. But as she was passing Laurel Grove Cemetery, a large truck plowed her over and then drug her 50 feet or so.
Damn.
Yeah. Apparently there is still a blood stain on the road where she was drugged. I also read something about some dude comes out and paints it there, like yearly. So I don't know.
That's sort of weird. That's
yeah, that's not necessary, guys.
Yeah.
So now Annie haunts the road. To paint a picture of the scene, imagine, if you will, you are driving down a narrow, winding, 2-lane blacktop. To your left is a densely wooded hillside that crowds the street right up to where there's no shoulder there. So it's just the woods come all the way to the edge. Mm-hmm. On your right, a low steel guardrail is the only thing between you and the inky black water of the Paseo River. Suddenly, you find yourself drawn into a hard right curve in the road, and you see something that sends shivers up the length of your spine. It's a splash of red there on the road and on the guardrail, which trails down the edge of the street. You can't believe what you just saw, so you're peering into the rearview mirror as you pass it. As you set your sights back on the road, you notice an eerie mist forming off the river. And to your left, the forest gives way to gently sloping hills and gleaming marble stones of a vast sprawling cemetery. Suddenly, the mist begins to take shape in your headlights. So you flicker on your high beams and you can clearly make out a distinct figure crossing the road ahead of you. You hit your brakes. Then you watch in disbelief as a translucent mist before you assumes the unmistakable form of a young woman wearing a flowing white dress. She floats across the roadway inches above the ground and disappears into the graveyard. This is the most often heard description of an encounter with Annie. And for more generations than anyone can seem to remember, stories like this have been told. And for just as long, it has played host to a number of carloads of late-night thrill seekers.
Yeah.
Annie's Road has, however, on more than one occasion, led its night riders down a path of danger and even death. Riverview Drive is no stranger to severe auto accidents, and Annie is not the only soul that has been lost here, leading to reports of other strange happenings on the road and by the cemetery. Many motorists have reported hearing screams, seeing that mysterious fog, and experience interference in their cell phones and cameras, as well as flickering lights moving around and about the graves.
Flickering little spider eyeballs blinking out there in the darkness.
Creepy. Do you watch Mandalorian?
I haven't started the second season yet.
Okay. Then I'll shut up. Sorry. It is thought that if you drive down the road at exactly 12 o'clock, you got to be a lot of places at 12 o'clock to hit this activity, I guess. But drive down this road, play oldies music. But she died in the 60s. Remember, we're not talking like, don't go way, way back. All right.
I was going to actually ask you that, so I'm glad you clarified.
Yeah.
The majority of the time I'm listening to oldies now that it's...
That's my playlist.
That's right.
So we should be good. Maybe more 70s.
Yeah.
So drive down, play the old music, and turn your car lights off and drive in the middle of the two lanes, and then you'll see her in the rearview mirror.
I bet you will.
Or you'll just become a ghost yourself. Dudes, do not try this at home. We are not suggesting this. Maybe just try driving down the street. Play that music.
Speaking of, have you ever seen the original Twilight Zone, the movie?
No, I haven't.
The way it opens up is, I really think it's Dan Aykroyd. And this is back in like the 70s. And he's driving alongside another comedian, right? And they're in like an old car, right? And they're singing along. I think it's John Fogerty or something is on the radio.
Yeah.
So he turns everything off and he says, hey, you want to see something really scary? And the other guy's like, yeah, like what? Like, what do you mean? He's like, well, and he starts telling him like a ghost story as they're driving down the road. And he shuts his lights off. And he's like, okay, man, that's not cool. That's not cool. Turn your lights back on. So the lights come back on. He's like, oh, come on, man. You weren't scared, were you? Were you scared? And the guy's, no, I wasn't scared. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to do it again. He shuts the lights off, right? And he's like, okay, man, come on. You're driving. Turn your lights back on. So he turns the lights back on. Then all of a sudden, Dan Aykroyd's like a werewolf and he lunges over and he eats the guy. He's like, roar!
That's a way to get somebody.
Yeah.
Catch them way off guard.
It's what I was thinking of the whole time. You're like, you got to turn the lights off. You got to drive down this road. I'm like, and he's going to say, you want to see something real scary?
It's just a distraction to the real horror.
Yeah.
So, also in New Jersey, there's Shades of Death Road in Warren County.
Okay. I've heard of this one.
Oh, okay. Let's see if our stories match up. They've got a lot of things connected with this road, apparently.
Okay.
Which used to be simply named the Shades. But in the 1850s, an outbreak of malaria infected a vast amount of the people in the area, causing a tragic epidemic. Years after that, there were stories of bands of ruthless outlaws who resided in the area, and when people would come down the road, the bandits would pop out, slit their throats, and take their belongings.
No, thank you. That sucks.
Not going. We took a walk last night, and I swear twice I thought I heard footsteps behind us, but when I would stop, I wouldn't hear them. But Carl was walking in front of me and my niece, so we were behind him. And he's such a fast walker that I thought they're going to come up and get us, and he's just going to keep walking. He's not going to he's not going to catch on for a while. I'd already written the story, so I just thought about that road. And it's like, there may be just some things you shouldn't do at night.
Damn.
So when the bandits were caught by a vigilante group, they were hung in the trees that line the road. The forest that the road runs along is called Jenny Jump Forest. Weird name for a forest. I hope it's just a nickname, really. Yeah. But it's supposedly haunted by a girl who jumped to her death. As the legend goes, her ghost now walks between the trees to this day. Then, in more modern times, the Shades of Death Road saw even more violence. When between the 1920s and 1940s, there were at least 3 murders that took place on this 2-lane, 7-mile stretch of asphalt. The first involved a man having his head beat in by a tire jack over some gold coins.
Oh my God.
Then there's a story of a woman who decapitated her husband and buried his head on one side and his body on the other.
Yeah.
The third murder, and the only one I actually found a name connected to, so those other ones could be not real. This was the killing of Billy Cummins, who was viciously gunned down and dumped in a pile of mud on the side of the road, and his killer was never found.
That's harsh. I was thinking about the woman who murdered her husband. She cut off his head, buried it on one side, and buried the body on the other side. Now, I wonder if she did that to lighten the load a little bit because he was too heavy to drag with the head on. So she's like, let's take this part off, and then you're going to be where I want you to be, but the head's going to have to stay here. It's too much weight.
Well, I think it's the other way around. The body is too heavy.
It is.
She might have thought that that was the only way they can identify him. So she takes the head off, and she's like, I will put it somewhere else. They'll never think to look directly across the street.
Across the street.
I don't know. That's an odd story.
That is weird.
There's also the story of a girl who died in a fierce wreck on the way to her prom when her boyfriend lost control of the car on the slippery road. Yeah. Her ghost can be seen walking down the middle of the road with her prom dress torn and burnt.
Ooh.
Drivers have also encountered other ghostly figures walking down the road, but they all seem to vanish when the drivers get closer. Nobody really wants a ride.
No.
Running alongside the area, there's this section that's nicknamed Haunted Hollow. In this section, there is a man-made lake that has no official name, but locals call it Ghost Lake. The lake came to existence when William Crouch Jr. and Leon Hall dammed a creek in order to create a lake between their two homes, thinking that they would get like some sweet free swimming pool, basically.
Okay.
Well, Will and Leon soon realized that their creation was creepy as all get out. Odd pillars of mist formed on the lake, and sometimes these pillars would form in the shape of a man. Near Ghost Lake is a cave called Fairy Hole. This area just gets weirder and weirder, where a slew of broken pottery created by the Lenape people. So the ongoing theory is that Will and Leon went and flooded probably some burial ground, and now they're pissed off. So there were some pictures out there. They're not that great. It's like, you know, some really misty, shadowy looking figure that they have a circle around. Could be anything in the dark. These were from Polaroids, and then a light at the end of the road. Just a mysterious, what's that light from? That's all that was really in the pictures. But that's about the level of evidence that they're getting.
Okay.
Then again, in New Jersey, there is Clinton Road in West Milford, which is haunted by a ghost boy. According to local folklore, the ghost boy of Clinton Road will return coins people throw in the creek.
Funny.
Who is throwing coins in the creek?
Yeah, that's true. Why would you do that? But I like it that the boy's just like flinging them back out too.
It's like, no, this is called littering. This is not a water fountain. I'm not granting wishes. Get the fuck out of here. So it's said that if you throw the coins in the creek, that's what summons the ghost boy, and you'll see his reflection in the water.
Ooh.
But there's some other people that say if you just stand on the bridge, a quarter will just drop out of nowhere. And then when you bend down to get the coin, the ghost boy will push you into the lake. But apparently he's not trying to hurt you. He's trying to save you from getting hit by a car.
He's just moving you out of the way.
Yeah.
Hope you can swim.
Maybe that's what he did to die, you know?
Okay.
And so he's like, no, this is a terrible idea. Push.
Okay.
It's like those times, though, when people are feeling like they're saving you, but they just kind of hurt you and scare you because they grab you all of a sudden. So you're okay, it didn't feel like you were helping, though. Anyways.
Right. Yeah.
At one time, Carl and I were walking and there was a tarantula and he yelled at me and grabbed me pretty hard. And I was really offended, but I guess I didn't want to step on that tarantula either. So I guess I was having a flashback of that. It's unknown which bridge along Clinton Road, because there are multiples, is the bridge that the ghost boy hangs out at. You can stop at several of them and see coins in the creek. So I can't give you great direction on that.
Wow. So do not drink the water that comes from these creeks because all that metal.
Yeah, not a good
time.
idea. Now, many people have reported other paranormal activity along this road that has nothing to do with the ghost boy. People say they get an eerie sensation of being watched by something in the woods. They've seen strange lights such as beaming white streaks on their car. They hear disembodied childish laughter. That could be the ghost boy. But they associate all this stuff with Cross Castle, which is in the woods off from the road. Cross Castle was built in 1905 by Richard J. Cross, but in 1919 it burnt down, only leaving the stone walls intact.
Okay.
These walls now seem to lure evil congregations such as satanic worshipers.
Here we go with those satanic worshipers. Always finding these castles in the woods. They've got really good navigation sense, let me just say.
And they are some hikers, too, to really get out there and explore until they find some cool-ass abandoned building.
Yeah, and that's a lot you got to carry your robes and your candles, your
spray paint
offerings.
Yeah.
Spray paint, things like that.
So I did read, though, I don't think this is just something that people made up unless all these stories are made up as well. People, locals that live in the area had posted, comments along a blog about this story that said, I was hiking in the area. I saw some really strange shit, and they just turned around and avoided it. Or people that would say, when I was a teenager, I went out to a party where these castle ruins are. And some people were up to some real weird shenanigans.
Oh.
Also, the ruins have since been torn down. The basement still remains, though, so I guess you can look for that. But the upper walls do not. But when they went to go tear them down, they took a whole bunch of photographs of all the graffiti on the wall, and it was like, ooh, what does that mean? And stuff like that. So I guess if you decipher the graffiti, some of it might be summoning a demon. I'm not sure. But this has fueled the ideas that the woods and the road are now haunted or hold some kind of demonic forces. There's also a section of the street that they call Dead Man's Corner. It's pretty much at the end of the street, and they say that if you ever see an animal, alive or dead, of any kind, that it's a trap. Do not stop. Some evil creature has put it there to try to lure you out of your car.
Oh.
Look, if I saw a dead cow in the middle of the street, I'm not fucking getting out of the car. So this is a dumb trap.
That's funny because one of the books that I was listening to on audio, they're talking about the owls, right? So, and their spiritualistic and meaning and all of that. And this one lady actually got out of her car and she collected a dead crow and put it in her trunk. And then she collected a dead owl and put it in her trunk. I'm just like, what is this lady doing? It's just out scouting for dead animals along the side of the road.
Yeah.
I mean, did you pass over the deer? Were you just like, nope, that's not in the bird family. I'm sorry.
It's for her collection. Oh, maybe she does taxidermy them or whatever. So she's free animal, didn't have to hunt for it. Or she lives in New Jersey and she's heard all these stories and she's crazy.
Yep. And she wants to know the truth.
Yes. She's going home and dissecting them and whatnot.
Ooh.
So also, just to add one more thing to the list, of course, there's been UFO sightings.
Of course.
Those bright white beaming lights on the car, people say they've seen them and that they follow the car until they are off the road.
Yeah.
And some people have even seen just a large UFO hovering over the forest.
This is like their Bridgewater Triangle area, right?
Well, yeah, I guess.
Street.
It seems like New Jersey should have their own triangle story.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in this one area and this whole state for such a small state.
Oh, yeah.
So congrats, New Jersey. You did it.
New Jersey's got a lot going on. Isn't there New Jersey Devil or something? Shouldn't he be there too?
Yeah. I'm sure he's what kind of encourages all this satanic stuff.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Must be.
Or maybe he was brought up from it, right? That's how he got here.
Yeah. Like he's a real person.
Yeah. Well, look, it makes sense that New Jersey's got so much going on because I watched that shit that's on Travel Channel, the Paranormal Caught on Tape or whatever it's called. And they have all of these, experts, or they basically just have a bunch of people talking about the videos that they see. And one of the speakers is the guy that does the Weird New Jersey book, but only the Weird New Jersey book. There's weird everything books out there, but only the Weird New Jersey guy got on this show. They've got podcasters from Podcasts on the Left on there talking about some of this stuff. They've got all kinds of people, but that's the thing that's funny. Like, what does Last Podcast on the Left have to do with any of this paranormal stuff? Well, he's going to be there talking about it, so it's because he's from Last Podcast on the Left. But it's just funny that of your stories, like, you're like, yeah, weird. New Jersey's got it going on. And for the Travel Channel, they're like, yeah, we know. We got New Jersey. Let's get that guy who's written all about these stories to get on here and analyze some of this footage. So I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, of all these 10 roads that somebody has said is the most haunted roads or creepiest roads or whatever, three are from New Jersey. None of the other ones like have multiples. None of the other states have multiples. Yeah. So that's pretty impressive.
That is, yeah.
Some weird shit going on there. Mm-hmm. So next is Route 44 in Rehobeth, Massachusetts, where drivers have reported sightings of a 6-foot-tall red-headed man in a flannel shirt and jeans. It's the Brawny Man, but he's a ghost.
Well, there you go.
And he smiles eerily at passing cars. Most times he appears solid to the driver, but not quite all there. In a rare report, he is seen translucent throughout the entire encounter. But the biggest discrepancy in the physical description of the hitchhiker is his eyes. Some say they look normal, but just don't feel right. Some say they are black and empty. Others say that they're glowing and lifeless. And I've seen it reported in multiple colors.
Okay.
Some stories include him appearing in cars, then just fading away once he's spotted, or cars running him over. He'll just stand in the street and let them hit him. And then when they get out, he just kind of like poofs away, but he leaves with this like eerie laugh.
That's creepy.
Yeah, he is just trying to be funny, I think.
He's 6 foot tall?
Yeah, that's what they say.
People see him in a car. He's got to be like hunched over, right? Hello. No wonder his eyes look a little like not there. He's angry.
Yeah, if it's like a Chevy Aveo or a Mini or something like that, he's probably not. But it could be an SUV or a truck and he'll be fine. Maybe he only picks the cars he can fit in.
Okay.
It'd be funny if he didn't, though.
It'd be hilarious if he was in like a Mini Cooper or my husband's car, the little BRZ.
Yeah. He basically looks like Bigfoot in the back of the car.
Yeah. Oh my God.
In Harry and the Henderson, what did they named him Harry? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. It's like, what was his name? Oh, the name in the fucking movie, Wendy. Anyways, sometimes only his laughter is heard. You don't even see him. You just hear creepy laughter.
Wow.
And supposedly you are more likely to have an encounter with him if you are traveling with 3 people in the car. I guess he sees the opportunity for an empty spot in the vehicle to join your gang. So he'll just appear in the empty seat.
Well, that's nice of him, at least, to not appear in the lap.
Because he's very big. So that would be uncomfortable.
That's a whole lot of man sitting right in your lap.
It's unknown who this guy is. He does not really have a backstory. He's just there. There is documented proof of accidents in the area that have been fatal, and this area is located in the Bridgewater Triangle.
Aha! There we go.
Or right on the outskirts of it, right on the end of it, basically.
Close enough, right?
Yes.
The hop, skip, and a jump away, right?
Yes. This is, of course, for people that don't know, it's an area in Massachusetts that's known for a lot of weird activity.
Mm-hmm. Cool, fun shit.
Yeah. So it's probably no surprise that people have also reported radios, cell phones, and anything tech related will act up when traveling along the route, as well as sightings of creatures that people say look like a mutated animal, but the size of like a dog. So that's pretty much the only thing that's happening on this road. You're going to probably pass it if you go into this area to explore the Bridgewater Triangle, and that's a story for another time. Not by me, though. You can take that one if you want.
Do you have to be on this road at midnight to see the Brawny Man?
They didn't say. So I think just late night, maybe even daytime.
Yeah.
He just pops up whenever he feels like it.
Yeah.
Probably those creatures, though, at night, I would think.
Oh, okay.
I'm just guessing.
I don't want to be anywhere near the Bridgewater Triangle at night. That's a problem. I do want to go and visit it, but I just don't know if I want to be there at night. It's too open. And yeah, there's stories for another time, like you said.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So then there's Kelly Road in Ohioville, Pennsylvania, which is also known as Mystery Mile. And It's only 1 mile long. Well, the area that's called Mystery Mile is only 1 mile long. The street itself is actually only 2 miles long. So I guess the other half of it, perfectly fine. You're safe there.
Right.
You just got to make it through the first mile, which is said to be cursed.
Well, that's got to be a long mile to get through that.
I'm sure it feels that way.
Wow.
The paranormal activity on the road is known to be malevolent and occasionally violent. No one is sure what causes the activity, but theories range from activity with early settlers, such as a legend of a couple who is said to have died on the road after their horse was spooked by something and the carriage flipped over.
Oh, wow.
According to the story, the woman's neck was snapped immediately and she passed, and the man was crushed, so he died like a slow, torturous death.
Oh.
People have reported hearing the sounds of a carriage crashing and cries for help.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. Some also say the land where the road is was cursed by the native tribe that lived there before, and their land was stolen from them. This is back in the 1700s.
Oh.
But others say the paranormal activity is caused by cult activity, which gathered in the nearby fields for summoning some kind of evil during the satanic panic of the 1980s. So that is much more recent.
Yeah.
There has been multiple accounts spanning decades of previously docile animals becoming violent and rabid. There's probably a disease in the woods.
Ew.
Farm animals along or near the stretch of road that have been known to escape their enclosures and chase people. Can you imagine if a cow is fucking chasing you?
That is a nightmare.
That doesn't seem normal either.
It's not. Yeah, you're right. Cows are usually more docile. If they're running, it's because they're being chased.
Yeah.
Not because they're like hungry for flesh. They don't just, that's weird that they would want to do that out there.
They might run to food if you've got it, but they're not necessarily chasing you. They're chasing the food.
Right.
I watched this, maybe it's a TikTok, I don't know. It was, in some farms with cows, the cows have to stick their heads into these like fences that, I don't know, there's only enough room for their head and they can't move around really once they're in there. So they have to wait for their food to kind of come in front of them. I guess it's to make sure every animal gets some food.
Yeah.
But some fucker dumps a bucket in one spot and walks off. So only like a couple of cows are able to get to this food while all the other ones are like, I want some fucking food. So this one cow figures out how to hit the pole that will release his head, and then he unlocks other cows so that they can all get into this one area and eat. And then the whole point of the video is to say that cows are aliens, because that's not normal.
Okay. Yeah. I was just going to say it's a reincarnated person, obviously, or I mean, that's intelligent to a different degree, or there you go. It's aliens.
Well, yeah. And the aliens might be a bit extreme. Reincarnation, that sounds fun. Cow.
It's a cow.
That's a risky life, man.
It is.
So back to this road. The activity stops, like I said, once you get 1 mile down the road. Farmers often report their livestock making strange noises in the middle of the night, and there is an unusual amount of insects swarming in the area along the road. Like I said, the insects might be causing all this. Like they've got some disease in them. But why only to concentrate in one area? Those who pass through the road at night have reported glowing white figures running along the woods beside the street and hearing strange noises. Plus, multiple residents of Kelly Road have reported glowing apparitions of children dressed in colonial or pioneer clothing. The children are described as having angry expressions and sometimes chase people down the road.
I'm staying away from this road.
This is the scariest fucking street, and it's only 1 mile long. Also, residents have said that they've seen a young, angry boy showing up in their yards and staring through the windows. And one resident reported seeing this boy standing in her bedroom one night, just glaring at her.
These people have houses there.
Yeah. She later moved, but she still has constant nightmares of this.
Wow.
There are also some reports of people who lived or drove along the road and suddenly turned angry or violent.
Oh, man.
So let's hope your grandma's house is not on Kelly Road, because I'm sure Thanksgiving will be a hot fucking mess.
No doubt.
If this is the kind of attitudes there.
Yeah. Just think if the livestock's going to come after you, what's going to happen with them turkeys trying to get roasted? I mean, are they going to reanimate themselves too and come after you? I mean, this is craziness.
I saw another TikTok. You got to get on TikTok. There's some funny shit on there. A dude driving his motorcycle down the road, and a turkey comes up basically to try to peck on his leg. And the guy has he's stuck at a light. So he keeps having to kind of kick at the turkey. And then even when he drives off, the turkey tries to chase him. You don't have TikTok, so I can't send it to you really. No. But I wanted to send it and be like, this is in your neck of the woods, isn't it?
Oh, gotta be. That's hilarious.
So next is Dead Man's Curve. Every town's got one, but the one I'm talking about is in Claremont County, Ohio, and is said to be haunted at the intersection of Route 222 and Route 225, where a faceless hitchhiker who died in a crash in the 1960s. A lot of these stories come from the 1960s. Maybe that's when this article was wrote. No, I'm just playing. He is said to roam this area late at night, usually between 1 o'clock in the morning to about 2 o'clock in the morning. He's hitching a ride, sometimes appearing in the middle of the road where unsuspecting drivers will hit him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He's trying to hitch a ride, but sometimes he will just pop up in the middle of the road.
Hi there. Can I get a...
Apparently, though, once you hit him and you get out to be like, are you okay? He might get up and try to chase you.
Now he's pissed.
Yeah, that's not cool. People have reported seeing this strange man on the side of the road. Others tell of their car being pelted with rocks from some unseen force. Those who have gotten close enough to him all report the same thing. There's no sign of a face, just blackness. Now, the road itself does have a reputation for being dangerous. After all, it is called Dead Man's Curve. However, oddly, there isn't much of a curve these days. The stretch of road was originally part of the Ohio Turnpike, built in 1831. The original road was designed in a way that it curved sharply at the top of the hill, causing many horses and carriages to slip or roll just down off that hill.
Damn.
But in 1968, they straightened and widened the lane. There was said to be a celebration even, like commemorating, yay, this is the end of Dead Man's Curve. However, they celebrated a little prematurely. A month later, there was a huge accident at the intersection. An Impala with 5 teenagers inside hit a green Roadrunner. The Roadrunner was said to be traveling at 100 miles per hour. Only one person survived. By most accounts, it was after this accident that the faceless hitchhiker started to appear. There have also been reports of a green Roadrunner chasing drivers down this stretch of road from time to time. Since that accident, it's said that around 70 people have been killed at this intersection.
No kidding. Since they've straightened the damn thing?
They tried to fix it, and it's like, I don't know. I guess people are like, whoa, now I can do 100 miles per hour down this road because that curve's not there anymore or something.
Yeah, right.
There's something strange going on here. And then there's Riverdale Road between Thornton and Brighton, Colorado, or as some call it, Gates of Hell. They're extreme.
Love it, though.
Here you'll find a ghostly jogger who taps on the side of passing cars, a phantom Camaro with one headlight, and a hitchhiker in white who disappears into the night when approached. But perhaps the story that yields the most intrigue involves a mansion owner who went insane and set his home aflame with his family inside.
Oh, no.
The family perished in the fire and the man was never seen again.
They just took off.
Yeah, he just... I'm done, actually. Here's the real story. The only recorded house fire in the area was that of the David Walper house, which was built in the 1860s by a man of the same name. David came to Ohio in 1859. He was lured by gold discoveries in the Rockies, so he made some money. He comes back to Ohio and he builds this fancy house once he marries Catherine Henderson in 1864. The couple had 2 daughters, Lucy and Mary, and a son, David Jr. David Sr. died in the house October 21st, 1909, and his wife died in 1915. The couple is buried in Riverside Cemetery. Now, on November 28th, 1975, the house became engulfed in flames. The 2-story brick home was severely damaged, but no fatalities or injuries happened because nobody was there.
Okay.
See, in May of the same year, a chicken coop on the property burnt down. The fire department came out and they, put the fire out, but then they look at the house and they were like, that house is a fire hazard. Basically, it wasn't in good shape. So the health department orders that nobody could live there. Yeah. So the owners of the house had to kick their tenants out. So it sat empty for a while, and it was being heavily vandalized, and that's probably how the fire got started in there in the first place.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I'm not really sure where all this supposed ghostly activity comes from within Hell's Gate. Locals sure believe it definitely happens, but who or what it could be, it remains to be seen, kind of. Nobody knows. Yeah. There has been a number of fatal car accidents along the road, just no true connection to any one accident.
Okay.
And lastly, it's a big one, and I'm probably not going to do it justice, but it was on the list, so I got to give you a little bit of the story. This is Archer Avenue in Chicago, Illinois. It is where Resurrection Mary is seen. The story goes that a woman named Mary in the 1930s stormed out of a dance after a fight with her date. Unfortunately, she was killed in a hit and run, and her parents placed her body in the Resurrection Cemetery that she now haunts. On August 10, 1976, a passing traveler noticed a girl grasping the bars of the cemetery, and fearing that she had been locked in, they called the local police. The police arrive, and they comb the cemetery, but find no one. They did, however, find the rails of the fence bent in sharp angles, indicating that they have been pulled apart. Mary is fucking strong, apparently.
Yes, do not get in her way.
They say the marks were in the shape of handprints and appeared to have textures of skin, like left on the fence. This is weird.
Yeah, I want to see a picture of this.
Yeah. Where is it, man?
Yeah.
Mary has also been seen along the side of the road, and in some cases, she asks passerbys for a ride. Then she directs them back to the ballroom that she had left her date at.
Is she going back for more argument?
Others say that instead of going to the ballroom, she disappears from the car once they pass Resurrection Cemetery. I guess it just kind of depends on where you are on the road. But Mary isn't the only ghost hanging around Archer Avenue. See, Chicago's Archer Avenue is considered one of the most powerful spiritual lines on the planet.
Oh.
Some attribute this intense energy connected to the street with the surrounding bodies of water. Some with the magnetic lines that lie beneath the earth. Regardless of what lures such darkness to the area, time has proven the creepiest stories from Archer Avenue will endure. Tales include vanishing hitchhikers, black magic rituals, and blood-drenched ghouls. I don't know. I can't. I don't think I can tolerate seeing that, because if it looks solid, you're going to be like, is that someone in need of help? I don't want to help them.
Blood-drenched ghouls.
Yeah. But there was I think it was My Favorite Murder, because they were doing a retelling of I Survived. And there was a girl that basically, she got like arms cut off and everything. And she was naked because the guy was trying to rape her or whatever. So she has to go down this dark road, drenched in blood, naked. And a couple actually pulled over and picked her up.
And she got her arms cut off too?
Yes.
Jeez.
He was cutting her arms off. It was bad. But I mean, like, they basically had this scenario, but it wasn't a ghost.
Yeah. Wow.
And some other people had passed her by. Like, fuck no.
Yeah, because they thought it was a blood-drenched ghoul.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God.
Write that in my paranormal journal. And then I bet when they saw the news, they were like, ooh, shit.
Let's tear that page out right now. Nope, that was not.
That was not there. It wasn't me. Sorry. She survived though.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. But on here, I think it really is a ghoul. Nobody's picked up anybody and saved their life. But one of Archer Avenue's most infamous stories is that of a phantom driverless horse-drawn hearse that tears up and down the road and to the cemetery. It's built of black oak and it has glass. People become horrified once they're able to see that the coffin is like child size.
I mean, I'd be horrified to see a headless horse-drawn hearse. I don't have to see what might be inside of it.
I guess it just gives you that extra icky feeling.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I don't even know if I'd stick around for that part. Like, oh, let's see what's in. Is it the pizza man? Like, what? What's he got in there? Oh no, that's. And it's going to the cemetery here at Resurrection Cemetery.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Some people even like to say that there was the exact same hearse that Mary, her family, used or whatever.
Oh.
But they're seeing a child-sized coffin, so I mean, I think they're just trying to connect it back to her story, so it'll get included. I'm not really sure.
I was just thinking this must be the way that you described it. I assume it's sort of something like the Black Mariah, like, you know, just to get a visual. Okay.
Yes, that's how I would assume. All wood, black, and then glass so you can see the coffin fine.
Okay.
Super fancy and nice, but haunted.
And creepy.
Then there's Bithynia Cemetery, which is also along this road. It's a predominantly German burial ground, which is plagued by two distinct spectrals. Late at night, motorists have spotted an elderly man in a red flannel shirt walking the grounds. It's not the Brawny Man, though. Totally different state. Anyway, he appears with a rake in hand, burning a large pile of leaves near the maintenance entrance. Although he wears a friendly smile, passerbys can't help but slow down to gawk at anyone doing yard work between 2 and 4 a.m. So you might almost tell yourself, oh, that's just the keeper or whatever, until you realize it's 4 a.m. in the morning. What is he doing? Maybe he just can't sleep.
Yeah, right. And he's got to get out there and rake them leaves.
And the older you get, the earlier you get up in the morning. So maybe he really is a real person, guys.
Says Wendy to Chris. Chris was texting Wendy at like 3:30 a.m.
Well, also, my dad went for a walk one night and it was late. So it's like midnight. They live in a really small town. He passed by the mayor's house. And the mayor was out in the front yard doing lawn work at midnight.
Or was it?
My dad had a complete conversation with a ghost and doesn't even know it.
My gosh. Give your dad a recorder. Stat.
I have to go show me this house the next time.
Yeah, right?
Let's go take one of those late night walks.
Yeah, dang.
Oh, but this guy also disappears if you try to get close to him. The one in the cemetery. Some people have reported that they've gotten out and tried to get closer and it disappears.
Why would you do that? It's 4 a.m. I'm going to go and just have a chat with the gardener.
With the man raking leaves and burning them at 4 a.m. No, that's not a good idea, guys.
Okay, first of all, if you're out there doing that, he's got something on his mind. He either needs to do this and be left at peace, or he's a ghost.
Yeah, he is not asking for visitors. Anybody up at 2 or 4 a.m., they are trying to avoid being around people, okay?
Yeah, yes.
So don't. Just don't.
Right. He's trying to get it done before anyone shows up. And now you're going to go over there and harass the guy?
You're ruining it. Another of Archer Avenue's most ghoulish phantoms that frequents the same cemetery is the man that's completely covered in blood and has been witnessed leaping onto the roadway while frantically waving a flashlight as though flagging down help. All I can say is don't stop for him, guys. I know I just told you the story about saving that one girl's life, but no. Cars that stop to assist report the man returns back to the embankment towards the cemetery fence before vanishing. So at least he doesn't try to get in your vehicle.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
One driver said that he was driven off the road by the blood-soaked ghost when blinded by his flashlight. He's got my night vision, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, no.
If all that wasn't enough, the Red Gate Woods is a forest preservation along Archer Avenue that serves as home to the world's first nuclear reactor burial site. This is back in the years of the Manhattan Project. This is where they decided to bury nuclear stuff.
Okay.
Near Chicago, Illinois. Not a problem, right?
Not at all. What problem?
We didn't know all these people were going to live here.
Right.
I saw signs and it says, do not dig, and stuff like that.
Oh, man.
And about a half a mile away from the project site is an area known for equally dark reasons. Why these people are attracted here, I'm not really sure. But for years, many have claimed that the woods play host to satanic cults that perform dark rituals and chase off anyone who dare approach them during their rituals. Well, I mean, it's rude to interrupt a ceremony. So,
completely.
Hikers tell tales of finding strange red symbols painted on trees and an altar of logs and stone. Okay, maybe it's built up like a shelf or a cabinet. Because I'm like, Locks and stones, they're supposed to be in the woods, guys. What are you talking about? It's like when those people pile the rocks on top, you know?
Yes, stone stacking or whatever.
When they said altar, that's what I was thinking of, but maybe they built like a whole thing. So, people actually hand out advice about passing through this area. They say if you stumble across a demonic ceremony in the Redgate Woods, remember when you're running away to run in a zigzag pattern because they've been known to leave traps for trespassers.
Oh, no. No. Yeah, so you have to be smart about how you run away in a place like this.
I guess because if you run right down the trail, they might, I don't know, like, you know, a hole and they put leaves on it, very like Roadrunner and Coyote-like.
Yeah, very like you're trapped and you're going to die here. I do not like this.
If people have to pass out that advice for the area, they're either just trying to see if you're gullible and you'll scare you shitless, I guess, or it's a real thing and I don't want to go in these woods.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I'm all set with that too. Hopefully grandma lives nowhere near that road, you know, and don't have to actually travel down it to visit her because that's...
I looked it up. It's a huge, like, highway. I mean, I imagine tons of people pass down it, but just stay in your car, basically. Mm-hmm. Don't get out for anything.
And there's a lot of areas in Chicago where you have to do that anyway.
Yeah, that's true. So everyone, let's enjoy our holiday weekend and keep those peepers on the road and the surrounding woods because you just never know what you might see. And if you are lucky enough to have an experience and survive, tell us about it. You can do that by emailing the show. The address is in the show notes, or just comment or direct message us on any of our socials, which is COTN_paranormal on Instagram, and then just COTN_paranormal on Facebook and Twitter. If you like the show, help support us by rating and reviewing. Plus, you can visit our shop on Etsy, which is the Spirit Emporium, which also has their own socials. They're not in the show notes, but just look up the Spirit Emporium. How many can there be? And that's all I have for you.
You know, I'm always down for a haunted road. You always hear about the little kids' handprints pushing your cars over the railroad tracks or something like that. And you're like, that sounds fun. Let's do that. But then you just, you know, dropped a whole load of stories on me that are like kind of terrifying.
Yeah. It wasn't just like, a little hitchhiker gonna get in your car. It's like, there's colts out there.
Yeah, right. Don't interrupt. They'll come after you. Okay, got it. Check. Yeah. The Resurrection Mary place, that sounds pretty amazing, but like all of these places do. They all have something going on. It's just like, how far do you want to take it?
Yeah. You know, Kelly Road freaks me out the most. I probably enjoy it the best out of all the stories just because it's such a small, concentrated area. I mean, we can walk a mile, so you can just walk up and down the road, see if one of us get angry at the other or whatever.
Yeah. That one rang a bell too. I feel like I saw where somebody had reported, I don't remember them saying it was a roadrunner, but they said it was a green car that had been like chasing them down the road.
Yeah.
So when you said that, I was like, oh my God, I think I've heard about this before too, just on, I don't know, some other random TV show that I catch, you know, from time to time. But I don't like getting chased on the road, man. When someone's up your butt, you're like, what in the hell? Should I pull over? I don't want to pull over because now it's like, what if it's like a ghost and they're just coming after me?
Or what if it's just a psychotic person?
Right. I mean, it goes all the way back to when I was a kid, and there was always the story of the woman that's in the car and she's driving, and then a man drives up beside her and he's like trying to say something to her and he's pointing at her and he gets behind her and he flashes her lights and she gets all terrified that this guy's coming after her, he's going to kill her or whatever, you know, and she gets home and all of a sudden there was like a hook that was on the side of the, you know, like he was trying to say that there was somebody else there. So, I mean, that's one of those classic stories. With all the ones that you just kind of dropped on you, you have to wonder, was there some backing to that kind of story at some point in time too?
Yeah. This is a thing that I think could happen to people, but there's definitely a lot of horror stories out there about it too, about it being the ghostly truck driver chasing you down and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so I would be better with the ghostly truck driver than a real person chasing me down.
Well, not if he's got like hooks and shit, but...
Oh, no. You definitely don't want to encounter that. No, thank you.
Yeah.
But that was good. Good timing, too. Like you said, we're getting ready to travel for Thanksgiving. I mean, many of us are traveling anyways. Are you doing another 12-hour road trip to meet halfway?
My parents are actually going to be here. I stole them for the holiday. So unfortunately, I won't see my sister and the kids. But when my parents are here, we were going to take take a little camping trip up to, it's Camp Verde, but it's like 20 minutes from Sedona. So yeah, we're going to be on the road. I mean, it's only like a 4-hour road trip, but you never know.
Yeah. Go at night and report back with any findings.
With my bad night vision, that's a horrible idea. But yeah, if I see anything, I will let you know.
Yeah, well, that'll be fun. Good timing. I liked your story. Thanks, Wendy.
You're welcome. And that's all we got for you.
All right, cool. Well,
bye.
Bye.